The rights I was denied. From trial to parole. Hi, I'm Sarah. Most people know me as Mama Bear with claws. Today, I'm going to talk about why I was denied. Losing my son wasn't the only tragedy I faced. The second heartbreak came when I realized the justice system had stripped me of my rights as a victim. From the very beginning, I was treated like a nuisance, not a mother seeking justice. The DA's office misled me, blocked communication, and made sure I had no voice in the process. I didn't even know a plea deal had been made, one that dropped the vehicular manslaughter charge until it was already over. That plea deal was made behind my back. And later I found out why. Because neither my son nor I lived in Texas. I wasn't in the right zip code. That's not justice. That's geography. Under both federal and state law, victims have rights, not favors. Rights. During the trial phase, you are supposed to receive the right to be informed of hearings, plea deals, and sentencing. The right to be present in court. The right to be heard before any plea agreement or sentencing. The right to be treated with fairness and respect. The right to protection from intimidation and harassment. But in my case, none of that happened. I was told Dennis, the man who killed my son, was in jail. That was a lie. He went home with his mother for breakfast because he was too drunk to take a breathalyzer. He wasn't even arrested for 10 months. And when I tried to attend court, I was surrounded by marshals, treated like a threat instead of a victim. My rights weren't forgotten, they were denied on purpose. Transition to the parole phase. Years later, I began researching what I could do as a victim during the parole process. That's when I discovered something else. They never told me there's a victims liaison program designed to help guide victims like me and you through the parole phase. The liaison's job is to explain how the parole process works, notify you of hearings and review dates, guide you through your right to submit protest letters or statements, make sure you are informed before the offender is released. But I was never assigned one. No one told me this program even existed. When I finally called the Department of Corrections, that's the DOC, the woman on the other end apologized. Again, I got another apology for somebody else's mistake and said, you should have been notified and assigned a liaison. When the conviction happened, she signed me up. But months went by and no one ever contacted me. Even today, I haven't heard back. The excuse I was given. When I asked why I hadn't received my rights, I was told, you didn't get a liaison because your son was living in Texas and neither were you. That was their justification for ignoring me. Apparently, being a mother who lost her son in Texas wasn't enough to them. Justice had a boundary line, and I was on the wrong side of it. And so was my son, Kenley. That's not justice. That is geography. And I want victims everywhere to understand this. If you don't know the system. They will use that against you. They assume you won't ask questions. They assume you accept whatever they say. But the moment you stand up, the moment you show that, you've done your homework. They know you're not going to disappear. Here's what you must know if you lost someone and the offender is facing parole or even sentencing. After a plea deal, you have the right to be notified of parole hearings, review dates, and potential release. You have the right to attend or submit a statement in person. That would be a victim impact statement, VIS, or by video, depending on the state. You have the right to a victim liaison to guide you through the entire parole process. You have the right to protect the offender's release. You have the right to dignity, protection, and respect at every step. You have the right to submit parole protest letters or emails, not just from yourself, but from anyone, anywhere who supports your cause. That means you can send in a protest email on my behalf to the Bureau of Prisons, commonly known as BOP, or your state's parole board. These letters can come from friends, family, co-workers, first responders, and community members. Every message counts. Each one becomes part of official record that the parole board must review. Encourage others to write respectfully but firmly, reminding the system that a life taken was taken and that the offender's choices still have consequences. Victim impact statements, commonly called VIS, is your voice. You can submit it in writing as a video or both, again, depending on the state. Some states use Zoom. A written VIS becomes part of the official parole record, and so do the ones that you originally wrote during the trial phase. They should be transferred over to the prison. A video VIS allows the parole board to hear your tone, your pain, and your truth directly from you, even if you can't attend in person. Again, like I said, some places you can attend, some places you can't. You can also request to speak live during the hearing or ask your victim liaison to play your video for you. If no one told you that, you're not alone. Many victims never learn that they can re-record or resubmit their statements before every parole review. Don't wait to be asked. Take the initiative. Your voice and every voice that stands with you becomes proof that victims matter, even when the system forgets us. They called me senile. They said I didn't matter. I didn't understand. But what I understand now is that the system only listens when victims refuse to be silent. They want you to disappear, folks. They don't want you to know anything. They're not going to tell you anything. They just want to get cases off their desk. So to every victim out there, be professional, be informed, and be strong. Be a mama bear. Because when you know your rights, you stop being a statistic and you start being a force. You are stronger than you think. Do not let the justice system intimidate you. Because once they realize you know the law, they'll remember your name and your loved one's name forever. They're going to know my name and they're going to know my son's name, Dr. Kenley Jean Rainey. And they're definitely going to know the guy who killed him, Dennis Rodriguez Abeda Jr. If you're a victim watching this, remember, you can't change what happened, but you can change what happens next. Educate yourself, speak up, keep fighting. subscribe to DUIShatters Lives, because here we talk about the reality, not the headlines. We fight for truth. We fight for justice. We fight for them, the victims, our loved ones. I fight for my son, Kenley, and I will continue the fight to keep Dennis Rodriguez Abeda Jr. from getting parole, because he will hurt somebody else. He has that record of hurting people. He's not going to stop. Thank you.